Good evening from the State of Kuwait. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news for Friday, the 20th of March 2015. I am Dalia Badran with the headlines for tonight. Kuwait's permanent representative to the UN says 90% of the pledges made at Kuwait's second donors conference for Syrian people are honored. Suicide bombers attacked 2 mosques in Yemen's capital Sana'a, killing at least 50 people and wounding many others. The U.S. president tells the Israeli prime minister that Washington would reassess its options on U.S.-Israel relations and Middle East diplomacy. EU leaders meeting in Brussels discuss plans to back UN-brokered efforts to form a Libyan national unity government. Hello and welcome. His Highness Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the President of Tunisia, Beji Qaed Al-Sebsi, on the occasion of the country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the President of Tunisia, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. Kuwait's permanent representative to the UN, Mansour Ayad Al-Ataibi, said 90% of the pledges made at Kuwait's Donors Conference for the Syrian people held in January 2014 were honored, a percentage described by the envoy as very high. He said the delivered pledges exceeded $2 billion out of $2.4 billion committed during the second international pledging conference for the Syrian people. Ambassador Al-Ataibi said the humanitarian conditions are deteriorating because of the continuation of the crisis and violence, as well as the Syrian authorities' failure to abide by the relevant UN Security Council resolutions, especially those that aim at improving the humanitarian situation. Kuwait is set to host the third conference on March 31st, with the UN seeking to collect billions of dollars to honor growing needs of some 12.5 million Syrian people, either internally displaced or living as refugees in neighboring countries. Representative of the UN Refugee Agency, the UNHCR, in Lebanon, Ninette Kelly, commended Kuwait's role in assisting the Syrian refugees and welcomed the country's hosting of the third international pledging conference for Syria, due on March the 31st. Kelly said Kuwait was the first country in the Gulf to come out with such a large contribution, which they provided to the UNHCR and to other agencies in the region. The UN official added that Kuwait's support in Lebanon has been life-saving and critical for helping and providing essential services to the refugees and also for benefiting the Lebanese community itself, affirming that the UN considers Kuwait a vital partner in this regard. In cooperation between Kuwait's Ministry of Information and the U.S. Department of State, a workshop was organized for media employees on how to counter violent extremism on various social media. The U.S. State Department's regional media hub's initiative was launched in September 2006 to engage with Middle East media to strengthen the U.S. government presence and advocacy capabilities in the region. Here is more on the workshop in this report by Salim Al-Kandari.
Kuwait's Ministry of Information and the U.S. Department of State cooperated in organizing a workshop for media professionals on how to counter violent extremism on various social media.
Well, this is a very important event. It's with the United States and the government of Kuwait. part of the coalition working group through anti-Daesh messaging activities. So what we are doing is exchanging information and experience and learning from each other how best to go about messaging to the people of the region, to the Kuwaiti people and others, to counter the negative and very destructive message of Daesh. Well, the public should know that inshallah, better days are ahead, that we will degrade and destroy Daesh, as President Obama has said, and that we are all in this together. We are looking to make the place, the region safer, and inshallah, this will happen in the coming days or months, but hopefully not too long. But it's important for all of the coalition, and there is a strong and growing coalition to oppose these horrific activities on the part of Daesh. And right now what we're concentrating on here in Kuwait with our colleagues and friends and coalition partners in Kuwait is to counter, to reveal to the true nature, the face of Daesh and their destructive message, and to counter that with a positive and more constructive message for all the people in the region.
We manage the social media presence for different organizations from different industries. We're here today in Kuwait. We're pleasured to be here in Kuwait. Thank you all for the hospitality. We're working on training the staff of the Ministry of Information and the U.S. Embassy staff on how we can counter the violence and extremism of the ISIL organization, and how we can message them and fight them through media and social media.
The Dubai Regional Media Hub leads the U.S. Department of State's efforts to build relations and engagement with media outlets throughout the Arab world through mainstream media and social media channels. From the Ministry of Information, this is Salim Kandiri reporting for the English News.
Suicide bombers blew themselves up at two mosques in the center of Yemen's capital Sana'a, killing at least 50 people. There has been no immediate claim of responsibility, but Al-Qaeda militants have carried out similar attacks. The bombings in Sana'a comes a day after deadly clashes in the southern city of Aden between forces loyal to President Abdul Rabbu Mansour Hadi and those supporting his predecessor, Ali Abdullah Saleh. Warplanes later targeted the presidential palace in Aden, where Hadi has been based since fleeing Sana'a last month after the rebels placed him under effective house arrest. The president, who was evacuated to a safe place after the air raid, described the events in Aden as a failed military coup against constitutional legitimacy. White House officials said U.S. President Barack Obama told Benjamin Netanyahu that Washington would reassess its options on U.S.-Israel relations and Middle East diplomacy. The move came after the Israeli Prime Minister took a position against Palestinian statehood during his re-election campaign. Obama's telephone call to Netanyahu followed a television interview in which the Israeli leader backed away from his pre-election declaration that there would be no Palestinian state on his watch. The White House, unmoved by Netanyahu's effort to backtrack, signaled Washington may reconsider its decades-old policy of shielding close ally Israel from international pressure at the United Nations. Obama delivered a blunt message that underscored the seriousness of the U.S.-Israel rift. A White House official said the president told the Prime Minister that we will need to reassess Washington options following the Prime Minister's new positions and comments regarding the two-state solution. In a new step towards limiting ties with Israel, the PLO Executive Committee mandated its political committee to put a plan to suspend security coordination with Israel right after Israeli elections. From Ramallah, Fatma Abdul Karim has more.
Presidential headquarters in Ramallah. The PLO decided again to put a plan to suspend security coordination with Israel in ratification of a recent decision taken by the second highest legislative body, the PLO's Central Council.
The Palestinians are giving themselves again more time to wait the developments in Israel. I know that the Americans have asked the Palestinians to slow their steps. That's why they formed a committee. But at the end of the day, they have to do something. If Netanyahu continues building settlements, of course, they will find themselves obliged to cut all the security ties.
The step was seen as a strong response to the Israeli hardlined positions regarding the establishment of the Palestinian state. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who chaired the PLO's executive committee meeting in Ramallah last night, expressed concern over the latest statements by Netanyahu during his elections campaign, in which he said there would be no Palestinian state at his watch. President Abbas said, with such statements if proven to be true, it is clear that there is no seriousness in Israel towards peace and that he will continue the Palestinian diplomatic campaign at the International Criminal Court and the international fields.
يعني صح هذا الكلام فمعنى ذلك أنه لا توجد.
If this statement proves true, it means that there is no seriousness in the part of the Israeli government to reach a political settlement leading to the establishment of two states based on international legitimacy.
The Palestinian leadership has once again come to agree that the only path forward is through the international community, which widely recognizes the Palestinian statehood bid. Palestinians know now more than ever that the step forwards towards obliging Israel to commit to the peace process based on the Arab Peace Initiative is through internationalizing the process's framework. Fatma Abdul Karim, State of Kuwait Television, Ramallah, Palestine.
Thank you, Fatma. European Union leaders meeting in Brussels today were discussing plans to back UN-brokered efforts to form a national unity government in Libya. The UN efforts may include a possible mission to help provide security. European Union leaders also discussed today how to help the conflict-torn country regain stability, but were reluctant to commit to sending troops. The EU's foreign policy chief said Europe is planning all possible ways of supporting a future national unity government. She said Europe could mount a military and border operation and help build Libya's police and justice systems. The United States and Iran are drafting elements of a nuclear deal that commits Tehran to a 40% cut in the number of machines it could use to develop uranium. In return, the Iranians would get relief from some economic sanctions and a partial lift of a UN embargo on conventional arms. Agreement on Iran's uranium enrichment program could signal a breakthrough for a larger deal aimed at containing Tehran nuclear activities. The sides are racing to meet a March 31st deadline for a framework pact and a full agreement by the end of June. Earlier, U.S. President Barack Obama appealed directly to Iranian citizens in a message commemorating Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Obama said Iran had kept its commitments under the interim nuclear deal, but that the coming days and weeks were critical and called for more cooperation. A bombing near a mosque in the southern port city of Karachi today killed 2 people and wounded 6. The bomb was planted on a motorcycle parked near the main gate of the mosque of a minority in a Karachi business district. The police officer said the bomb exploded minutes before Friday prayers were to end, which minimized the casualties as most of the worshippers were still inside the mosque. No one has yet claimed responsibility for the attack. EU leaders said Greece agreed to come up with a new reform plan within days to secure the additional bailout funds required to prevent bankruptcy. The development came after marathon talks between the Greek Prime Minister, the German Chancellor, and other European leaders in Brussels. The Greek Prime Minister said he was now more optimistic after the meeting. Separately, the EU leaders agreed to keep sanctions on Russia in place until the end of this year at the earliest. The sanctions imposed because of Russia's alleged military intervention in Ukraine are now linked to complete implementation of a ceasefire deal. This week marked the ceremony of the 4th annual Citizenship Education Forum, held under the patronage of the Deputy Director General of Youth Affairs, Dr. Hamoud Flaytah Al-Shammari, and is part of the 2014-2015 Development Plan. In association with the Public Authority for Youth and Sports and Kuwait University, the yearly event is geared towards Kuwait's youth in an attempt to encourage them to embrace citizenship and national unity. Reporter Badriya Al-Saleh brings us the story.
This year's conference is themed Kuwaitis and we will remember them. It's an opportunity to encourage the country's younger generations to become more active in helping guide and shape Kuwait's future.
I organized the forum, the 4th forum, citizenship. Like we have this year for the 2nd year Kuwaitis and we will remember them forum. We bring different figures in Kuwaiti society to inspire younger generation inside the educational institutions, to show them, and some of the student volunteers in this forum, they actually proposed proposals for the youth centers in Kuwait.
Held each year, the event tries to stir curiosity and even a drive from Kuwait's youth to take more initiative, with people under the age of 18 making up a vast number of Kuwait's population. The event organizers believe it's important to invest in Kuwait's future leaders sooner rather than later.
The youth is a part of the future, especially that these students will be a part of the manage of taking making the rules and the programs of the country. As a youth conference, they have to consider the youth point of view to make them a part of the future country's programs, especially how to make it better and more straight to the point for the students.
The event's theme changes each year to highlight and address how committed the state is to include its youth in this vital partnership.
A few students have already implemented their own projects in line with the conference's theme and purpose. Hopefully those success stories will be revisited in next year's meeting. At Kuwait University's Abdullah Jabir Theatre, I'm Badriya Saleh reporting for the English News.
Thank you, Badriya. Millions of people in Northern Europe and the UK today saw the biggest solar eclipse in years. A great swathe of the Earth's surface was plunged into darkness as the moon came between Earth and the sun. The deep shadow formed first in the North Atlantic and then swept up into the Arctic, ending at the North Pole. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Before we end, here's a quick reminder of today's headlines. Kuwait's permanent representative to the UN says 90% of the pledges made at Kuwait's second donors conference for Syrian people are honored. Suicide bombers attack two mosques in Yemen's capital Sana'a, killing at least 50 people and wounding many others. The U.S. president tells the Israeli prime minister that Washington would reassess its options on U.S.-Israel relations and the Middle East diplomacy. EU leaders meeting in Brussels discuss plans to back UN-brokered efforts to form a Libyan national unity government.